From Sunset Beach, Hawaii, weighing 267 pounds, the magnificent Muraco.
Why is it they call him magnificent? The man who lifts condominiums off his chest. Anything that's explosive, anything that's exciting, Prince of Darkness, Master of Destruction, perpetrator of violence. Get ready! I'm gonna burn this place down!
Hello everybody, it's Don Muraco's Magnificent Podcast. My name's James. We'll get the plugs out of the way first and then we'll crack on with an hour of Ask Muraco Anything. So it's dontherockmuraco.com for your signed merchandise. Don's pulling faces at me already. And books behind me if you wish to buy them on Owen, Hart and the Rock on Amazon exclusive. Now, Ask Muraco Anything, an hour's worth of fan questions. Are you ready? Magnificent one.
March 11th, aloha.
Aloha, March 11th.
I don't know, you previewed me last time.
Oh, did I?
Yeah. I've been holding my breath for 2 weeks, for the whole week.
Yeah, dear, you even wore the same clothes.
Mm-hmm.
You even wore the same clothes as last week for
yeah,
some
well,
old-fashioned continuity. Yeah. As did I, and I'm just as white as a sheet as I was last week.
I put a jacket over because it's cold.
How can it be cold in Hawaii?
Oh, you get old, your blood gets thin.
Stop it. Okay.
My grandkids, well, they wear jackets when it's hot in summertime, sweaters and hoodies and stuff. Now they go swimming and they're running around with just a pair of shorts, no shirt on, and then go figure.
Yeah, what is it with kids that they never get cold?
Or hot, unless they're somewhere in a car, going somewhere. It's somewhere. Going somewhere with you.
It's like my eldest niece is as skinny as a rail, and in the middle of winter when it's snowing, she's wearing a t-shirt, and it's like, "Are you sure you're okay?" I'm fine.
These guys are back and forth. The wind's blowing. Just a pair of shorts, no shirt, running around.
Yeah, we're currently in the middle of Storm Dudley. They've started naming storms over here now. Just it's I don't know why, to give them more personality. So all I can hear outside is while I'm talking to you, but it's not getting picked up anyway. It's not getting picked up on the microphone.
I can't hear it, no.
Oh, that's fine. I shall crack on with as long as it takes to get up to, as long as it takes, it's an hour. I'm going to ask you an hour's worth of questions, and then we shall shut this podcast down. The first one is Sword Kata. I was watching a match not too long ago with Don wrestling a jobber in a major arena. The jobber was horrible. After Don dropped him with a pile driver and barely got the 3 count, the guy bounced up like it never happened. Very bad scraping for this guy. So, what I'm going to do now is load up this match, and we're going to watch it. My browser is up to date, thank you. Right, okay, that's weird. Why is that not working?
10-minute time limit.
So,
this guy wouldn't sell?
Apparently so, yeah. I've actually watched this. It's not as bad as you think. He looks a bit like Lanny Poffo, this guy. Like, of all the jobber matches that you had, how many times did you find yourself in the ring with somebody who was who didn't know the first thing of what they were doing?
Oh, more than once.
There he is. Male model in his spare time. Dan Ferris.
Yeah. Porn star.
From Sunset Beach,
Hawaii as well. Like the Jewish Hawaii. Intercont 'L champion.
The magnificent Muraco. Well, this is the second time because I obviously lose my manager there.
Right, if you want me to pause at any point to dissect a move or lack thereof, tell me.
Dick Worley, referee.
Yeah, I recognise that name. He's wearing flares.
Yeah.
Sweet. But the flares are like a different colour, so did he like split his trousers and then add material to flare them out? Amazing.
Due to technical difficulties beyond our control, we have lost the sound portion of our program from the network source. We will continue to bring you the video, and we'll have the problem cleared up shortly.
Dropped him knees first there.
Well, yeah, you can tell. So and the knees came out in there. Up he comes.
So at this point, you're just giving him all the moves in the world now. Was it just apparent that he sucked within 4 seconds?
Yeah, I have to run back and forth to make sure he's still there. You go back to the locker room. He was back at his feet, though.
Yeah. That was a good standing drop kick.
That wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
He took a bump there.
Back again, fighting. I've never seen that before in my life. A splash to the back of the neck.
That's English.
Is it?
Yeah.
Or is that an old Billy Robinson deal?
Well, this guy isn't that bad.
No, I don't think he's that bad, actually. He sure is popping up quite quickly.
Yeah, so many bumps that you went did that. Oh, here we go. Let's see how.
It wasn't that bad in the end, I don't think.
There he comes.
Yeah, I've got a feeling that he does get up a bit early. I watched this weeks ago and I can't remember.
Yeah, he's trying.
There he is. I think he's back up already. He's sort of halfway up, adjusting his trunks.
Yeah, he's. Yeah, these guys, they work, once every blue moon. It's not like they're,
That was a neck breaker he was not expecting.
Yeah.
There you go. Still climbing back up. Not too bad. Not too bad, actually. But
yeah, it wasn't as bad as the guy that wrote in claimed it.
No, it wasn't too bad. There we go. We're back on. So, what was the etiquette as far as talking to enhancement talent that obviously didn't know what they were doing? How much instruction would you give them as far as, I'm going to hit you with my finisher, you must stay down? Did you have to go through any of that?
If it was Allentown, we were in the same, no, nothing. If it was Allentown, that was the second night in Hamburg, they were in the bathroom on the other side of the building. And we weren't, nobody was together. If it was anything big going down with, like an angle or something with somebody, then that probably would be worked out earlier in the daytime. There was no preparation given to those guys. Just Muraco's catching you with the thing in about 2-3 minutes or something. Yeah. That was it. That's all they got.
Who would deal with the jobbers then? Bringing them in and instructing them.
God, I don't know whose job that was. They'd come in. I don't know who's responsible for that. There's a handful of guys that would show up in TVs, regular guys.
Well, it wasn't too bad anyway. It wasn't too bad, the match. Yeah. So, he sucked and he didn't stay down, but apart from that, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, wouldn't sell a lot of tickets. But...
if he just grew that mustache out more, made it more porn starry, then, to the moon, it could be.
Then he really looked like John Holmes.
If you had a John Holmes gimmick going on, then,
There you go.
Ah, dearie me. Yeah, that might be reserved for Robert Fuller, I think.
Yeah.
I'll move on then. Thomas Pulio in Steve Austin's podcast, Roddy Piper had mentioned that Orton, Fuji, Adonis, and you and him each would surrender their room for a night, and anything goes. Point was to keep out of trouble. Any memories? Austin mentioned the wealth of knowledge in that room about the business. So, surrendering rooms. You have to shut the curtains.
What does that mean?
One of your hotel rooms, one of you guys would surrender your room for the night that you could all use it.
For what?
I don't know. You tell me.
I don't know. It's your question. I have no idea. I imagine sometimes we would, congregate somewhere and end up talking for a while, waiting for somebody to get ready to go out to dinner or something after the matches. I don't know. It sounds like that's a predetermined event. No, I don't understand.
No, okay. The way it's worded here, it sounds like you'd all get separate rooms, and then one of you would give up your room for the night so everybody could congregate there. But was it not that formal?
And brainstorm ideas, wrestling, or
I don't know. Make macaroni and glue pictures for each other or something. I don't know. I just read the question.
Watch porn flicks.
Draw mustaches on each other and no sell each other's moves. I will skip away then from that one. Ryan from Boston. I remember going to many Saturday afternoon shows at the old Boston Garden. There was also Worcester, Springfield, and Lowell. Could I ask Don what he remembers about wrestling at the Boston Garden? What would he do while in Boston? Where would he go and hang out? Any restaurants he would go to? Thanks. So the Boston Garden, memories of that particular building and those fans.
At first, we were staying over there. It was I think it was Bradford Hotel, where it was an old hotel, but the wrestlers stayed there for one reason or another, and that's where Andre slapped the guy and he flew out into the street. He wanted to fight Andre, and Andre kept getting up and up and up. The guy started running, and I talked to they were he and Skolin and probably Johnny Rods or whoever, the babyface crew that they were sitting, maybe Frank Valois at the time. They're sitting at a table in the front. There was a little pub, I guess, as part of the hotel. Not really a bar or pub, not hotel off to the side of the hotel. And it was in the afternoon. I guess they're sitting down having some wine or something. Andre. Some guy walked off the street because it was near Chinatown, rough part of downtown. Some guy, big, what do you call it? Native American Indian guy came out and, hey, you big son of a bitch, I want to fight you. It was Andre, and Andre was back in the bed where they had the big afro in those days and stuff. And he was kind of in the back of the booth. And you couldn't really see, he didn't really look that big, I guess, somebody that was half drunk or stoned or whatever he was. I wasn't there, I wasn't with him. Actually, I was a heel right in the beginning of my heel days. And so I wasn't, but I know the guy, hey, you, come on, we want to be left alone, back and forth 2 or 3 times, 3 or 4 times. So finally, Andre stands up. The guy, his eyes pop out of his head. He goes to do something, and Andre reaches across and gives him a slap, open-ended slap. The guy went flying in the air, and before he hit ground, we were sitting on the other side of the room. Before he hit the ground, his legs started making tracks like Roadrunner and the Coyote. And there's gone. Bugs Bunny. But that was really in the old days when I first came into territory. Then afterwards, we used to stay. Well, Boston was close, not that close, but New Haven. It was a 200-mile trip, so I ended up most of the time because they cut off those trips up to upper New Hampshire and Vermont and Maine and stuff. They didn't work those towns. Like they used to run them on a loop. Summertime and carnivals, fairs and stuff would go up and and work. Have a good you have a good week, good 2-3 days up in the beautiful place. When the weather before it started snowing all over the place. You'd have a couple good 2-3 days up there, 3 days up there, and bank a bunch of money, and then come back to. Back down low, and you made the Boston Garden, or, you had your big towns on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it was, decent week.
Talk about Boston Garden, the building itself. What were the facilities like? I presume that Boston was one of the best crowds you wrestled in front of, but the arena itself.
Yeah, it was. They had that old parquet floor was famous from the basketball team. It was I think seated around 18,000, 19 loud. We're there with it. Oh, like a Madison Square Garden card. It wasn't like going to those Lowell and some of those towns you mentioned that were just miserable. Worcester,
Springfield,
and a couple
as well.
others. And even Valentine told us how they had the seats down below, and then they had a balcony going around the top of the thing, which was only a floor high, and they'd sit up there and pelt you with shit, just oh god, spit on you, throw things, shoot with the rubber bands, slingshots and stuff.
You mentioned Valentine.
Yeah.
Is there any favourite haunts in Boston, apart from Cheers Bar, of course? Any favourite bars or restaurants you used to visit in the area?
The Bradford Hotel, I don't remember. And we used to go to the Chinatown after the matches there and eat. It was a block. I could walk in those days. It was 2-3 blocks walking to some of those nice Chinese restaurants. And then after a time towards the end, when later on we stayed out by the hotel if we stayed there at all, we'd stay at a Ramada. And after the matches, their nightclubs downstairs with all most of the hotels, guys would invite people back or they'd know about it. You go downstairs, everything's be packed. You'd have to go somewhere else to get something to eat. Your own hotel, forced out.
Good stuff. As a fan, I associate Boston with loads of titles changing hands in that arena, and then they'd be shown on prime time afterwards. I mean, obviously, it was before my time, but watching back when I was a bit older and watching all these, I think Tito Santana lost the title to Macho Man there, and all sorts of like big happenings always happened in that arena.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, it's Boston Gardens. It's one of the at the time. It was maybe only because it was Boston. It wasn't on par with Madison Square. Madison Square Garden is universal. Pretty much as far as notoriety goes. Where Boston Garden in that northeast corridor there, it's just as it was just as exciting. In fact, they had more championships up there with the Celtics and stuff. They had more winners and more productive teams and more productive things going to hockey teams and basketball teams and stuff that actually coming out of Madison Square Garden. So, but it was a trip. Mr. T, first time I worked with Mr. T was up there. He's in the corner, he'd laugh like that. I was one time talking about stuff about Fuji or something. He didn't bother me. I don't know, him breaking into the bed. He didn't bother me. It's just, I don't know. I guess maybe Piper couldn't get his mind that he was battling Hulk. That Hulk was how it was going. Hulk was Tom Cruise, and Hulk was the Rock. Well, I was the Rock, but Hulk was Richard Gere minus the gerbil.
Yeah, minus the
maybe
gerbil.
He had his own gerbil. Maybe he had his own gerbils. I don't know. But didn't realize how wrestling had turned that corner there, where everything was Hulk, and the wrestling business was the same, and the angles and stuff, but everything was pointed towards Hulk, pointed in that direction anyway.
I will be bringing up Mr. T on one of our coming up shows or upcoming shows. So I've written that down, Mr. T laughing in the corner. I'll bring that up for the next show.
Mr. T, Billy the Fool. Billy the Fool.
Next question is Ibsan Arroyo. I always mess up his name. How strong was Wahoo McDaniel?
Gee. Yeah, he was a man's man. I don't know if he was a bench pressing. He was weightlifting strong. He'd stand with anybody, Harley Robinson, anybody. He was a pro football. Wow, Wahoo was so amped up all the time. He was in Miami playing football for the Dolphins. Because after he got traded, the Jets let him go, and he went to Miami. And I don't know where he got, probably from Bill Watts or somewhere down around Texas, Oklahoma. Because Wahoo knew everybody. I met Mickey Mantle, and I met Chichi Rodriguez, a couple guys, and they come to see, they'd come to see Wahoo. And this was pre-Ric Flair days, that he had these people. Mickey Mantle he was an old American baseball player that was just, you know who he is?
I have heard his name. I think he's got a very valuable baseball card out there or something.
Great player, great, But he came to see Wahoo. He was from Oklahoma as well, I believe. Texas, Oklahoma. I knew Wahoo in school. And people would come to see him. Strong, bench press or weightlifting or whatever, he could, if he wanted to, he probably could, work himself into a weightlifting routine or something. But he was a golfer.
Mm.
He was out in the 18, 36 holes. He just go and come back. He was a golfing fool.
Man, I find it so weird that it's like, 'cause I've not played anywhere near as much golf as I used to, but it's like, even if you're carrying a trolley, you'll burn 1,000 calories like in a round of golf. I find that hard to believe, but I don't know. Great for losing weight apparently if you're really that way inclined. Did Wahoo? I don't know when you were wrestling. I hope I'm not misremembering the story, but did he color his hair with some weird stuff, and when somebody would DDT him or his head would hit the mat, it would leave like a black stain on the mat?
Shoe polish. Black shoe polish, yeah. dab the bald spots. But he dyed his hair black, jet black, so he could that shoe polish would do. And then run, start sweating and run. But it was showbiz.
Mm. Who else shoe polished their hair?
Oh God, I don't know. Angelo Poffo, Randy's dad, he had a piece. So he worked with a wig.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. I mean, don't touch my hair. Just don't touch. He's an older guy, and I was a young guy. Unless you were a real dick or some boy, I don't think the boys would let you get away with something like that. Because he was an old timer and you'd probably have to pay for it. But nobody ever went after, as far as I know, nobody went after his hair. Just that Tony Marino story with the hair I told about Briscoe with the left, the old Briscoe left hand punch, and boom, took off like Rocky the Flying Squirrel. Never. Took about 3 matches to get the crowd back. While we were laughing too, we were standing on the stairs in the back on the back, watch everybody, but to hear a crowd laugh, laughter fills the joys of your heart. It was funny when they just boom and it went, and the people just exploded. It was just a chain react, ding, ding, hair off while it's going, and he's chasing the little rat around the ring to try to get it back on his hair, and the people are just insane. As loud as a comeback, as loud as a Snuka comeback in Boston Gardens in the tag team match with me and Orton and him and Hulk. A lot of that laugh was easily or close to be that magnitude.
Was he at least the heel, or was he the good guy?
And Tony?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was the heel.
Oh, well, at least he was the bad guy. I mean, if he was the good guy,
Briscoe, Tony Charles, maybe. Jerry and Tony Charles, Jerry and somebody. And Jerry, they got that left hand. The Briscoes, they have that left hand. They throw up like that. But Jack was the one. He was always. He had that arm out, he made that firm. reaching with that left arm all the time. Yeah, that style. That Florida style.
So, right, okay. So I've got a few names there. So Tony Marino. Stan Lane, I know briefly did. Bruno Sammartino with that bird's nest job he had at one point. What's
Stan Lane do?
Stan Lane had a wig in Smoky Mountain. The story goes that he got a wig sewn into his scalp, and then almost immediately it got ripped out. And then he gave up on it and didn't bother. But I'm trying to think famous wig-wearing wrestlers. I think Cowboy Bob Ellis.
He was bald. I didn't know. He was bald in Florida. Not bald. Sorry. He had hair in Florida.
Yeah.
He and Brian, who was his partner?
Steve Kern in fan.
No. Before, when I was there.
Brian. Adias?
The artist. Huh?
Adias?
St. John.
Oh.
Brian St. John. That's it. Stanley Lane. They were good Hollywood blondes. Not Dale Roberts and Jerry Brown, but they took a Hollywood blonde name.
So
they were a good tag team too. Going back to the other tape about good Hollywood Blondes are a good tape. Good team. That Buddy Roberts could work his ass off. We ran into him in Tokyo, Dusty and I. When I first met Dusty, we kind of paired up, and they were there. They were there as a tag team as well, and we kind of met. That's when we first met Dale and Buddy Roberts and Jerry Brown.
I'm going to continue with the my strange fixation on wig wearing wrestlers.
All right.
So we need to have a full list that we know. So we've got Angelo Poffo, we've got Bruno Sammartino, Stan Lane for a brief period at some point, Tony Marino. I said Cowboy Bob Ellis because I believe he wore one at one point. Is there anybody else?
Shoe polish one too. Ooh, anybody else?
I can't believe anyone would risk it. I mean, Bruno got away with it for years. I mean, maybe not cosmetically, but it never flew off.
He must have had a big.
It almost looked
like. But I don't know anybody wanted to fool with Bruno's rig in the garden. He was probably only in those days. He must have had a few small shows too that he worked downtown. Well, he had all those towns outside of Pittsburgh that he was. I'm sure that he was procuring the money for taking care of the money for the office for. So.
Yeah, it almost looked like half a Marge Simpson sort of thing. It just sort of
Yeah.
It was quite impressive. I mean, if you're going to go
a bouffant,
yeah,
something,
yeah. If you're gonna do it, go all the way for God's sake.
Good God.
We'll leave the wig wearing wrestlers.
Trying to think of guys with hair. It doesn't compute. I mean, you got me there. I wasn't prepared for that question.
Well, of all the questions, I know, so everybody knows, I write a script, Don sees it through beforehand, but then, half the questions I ask I just think of off the top of my head anyway. I will. Yeah. I'll leave.
I can't remember that many guys with the peace sign.
No, I'll leave it for now. Then, if you think of anyone, yell it through later. But the next question is D Wade. Maybe Dwayne Wade, the basketball player. Don, why do you think the WWE hasn't tried to give you a position as an agent / writer / talent evaluator? Was there some unresolved issue we don't know about? You're a legend and should be offered a position with the company.
He's
trying to get you hired.
Huh?
He's trying to get you hired here with Vince McMahon.
Yeah, trying to give me a job. Maybe now. Never sought a position. I was groomed at one time for the color, doing color, and he was trying to color TVs off, and but they, I would break down and ram-a-dam-a ding-dong or start talking too fast, and Vince used to go, you got that Moroccanese, and nobody knows what the hell you're talking about. It's like that the Big Bang guy speaking Cleon. So yeah, a lot of guys try. They would sit guys in the dark matches and stuff, set a table and a thing, and they'd have an aside video, audio setup running where you'd run your in the thing, and then they'd run it. You would run to a match, trying you guys maybe on live audition type thing.
Yeah. Was being an agent never appealed to you then?
No. May have. I can imagine the frustrations that they go through. Has to be frustrating, being a top draw, a top star for years in that territory, and then different guys come through and angles and things are going down that you can see that don't make sense, or that apparently in your mind don't click or don't ring a bell, and you want to say something, but the top guy here has his idea and he's sending it. The top baby face has the outward from the offices to work on it, something with that type of ideal. So if you have an idea that's going to change everything around, then there's no place for you. That was a stage where it was really confusing because they didn't have the agents running, and like now everything's real tight. The last time I saw matches and everything real tight. In those days, it was kind of course, wrestling, the matches, everything was kind of catch as catch can. It was, what are you doing? I'm going, especially in a different rock room. What do you use? I'll find something out there, unless, because if it's a house show, you're not coming back. I can beat you with anything, get out there with heat. I don't have to use my figure four leg lock or assault you so badly that you need help to going back to the thing. And usually a smart heel to keep your heat. You find something cheap, foot on the rope, grab his tights, something the ref didn't see, some kind of foreign object, something like that.
The napkin from the hotel.
Yeah, napkin from the hotel, towel, pointed towel, and something, I was lucky. I always had Fuji, not always, but and if they want Fuji or not, but Fuji was always an out for me, and guys like that. People would be afraid. Guys were afraid of that pile driver, or didn't want to do other big bumps. And they're not, working for $50. They want to, they didn't want to go get crazy. So, it's just a
thankless task, basically, being an agent. Would you say?
Yeah. And if you've been to the top, you've been to the top of the mountain, and you've got some ideas, and you're not, you're not a complete dumbass. So and you've been around, and what's copacetic, and what works and what doesn't work, or maybe you don't, but you're able to contribute, and somebody else, but the powers that may be, and the younger guys, I can imagine. I just my imagination runs into the young guys are just looking down their nose at you, and you don't know, you've been burned out. You're out of this. You don't know. We'll figure out. We know how to run this angle. We know how to get this finished together. Okay. And then there's a call from the office. They want it done this way, and then and they think they way, and then you get into that. That the office wants it this way. You want it that way.
And
no payphones.
Yeah, and it stifles your creativity. It stifles your creativity, and it's thank.
Because normally what we're doing is we're wrestling same matches every night, every single night. I don't know how many times Steamboat and I wrestle each other consecutively. I have no idea, but it must be some kind of modern record. Because we are all everywhere. Me, Ricky, and Bonnie, his wife.
Okay, next question is Jonathan Turbide, a magnificent one. In January 1989, you returned to the AWA for a TV match against Larry Zbyszko. On commentary, old Vern seems to be really excited and happy to have you back. Did he make you an offer that night that could have convinced you to stay in the promotion for a while? You know, put the belt on you, good money, etc. Or was he his grumpy old self and didn't offer you anything significant?
No, he was pretty cordial. He was nice. I saw him in Milwaukee. It was, but everything came. It was kind of unfortunate. I signed there to go up to Minneapolis for a week. It was just after I got let go from Vince. So I signed there to go up for a week, and I wasn't switching titles to anybody or anything. So I went up there for a few shots. Did that big show in Milwaukee, which just there's nobody there. I mean, one of those, when there's their bread and butter arenas, and I can't remember, but offhand I'd say we were lucky if there were 500 people there. This was the smaller building, but still sat 10 or so thousand people. So that's but no, where were we going with that? Milwaukee. I went up there. To do the week with and the Sheik and Cosgrove and myself, maybe Bob Orton, a few other guys that had been gone. Maybe Bob was, but anyway, we went up to there, and my Japan papers were coming, and I had a deal to go with Bob to Japan, and somehow papers and stuff got mixed up. So they wanted me to fly from Calgary to Los Angeles, and this was a nightmare, to go to the ticket office, get my ticket off, and get all my paperwork and everything taken care of, and then go back to New York, pack, and then leave New York to go to Japan. So I had about 3 or 4 days and left on the trip up there that I canceled and walked out of. So I can't go. I have to go to LA. It was a legitimate reason. It didn't do his territory any good. But these towns were hundreds of miles north of Toronto and way into it was March something, right? So it was still
January,
still winter up
January
there.
1989.
Oh, okay, better yet. Yeah, I mean there was snow. This is where they went in the hotel, eat breakfast, not a hotel, restaurant next morning. Across from the hotel, we sit down. The Sheik ordered naturally 8:30, 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, whatever it is. So it's early in the morning. So obviously the Sheik has to have a beer. Waitress, bring Sheik beer. So the poor girl does, and she does it, and he opens his, waitress, come. Outside, snow is up to Sheik's ass. Here, this beer, warm like this. Take it back. You can't do, you can't win. I mean, it's, for us sitting there, for the guy sitting there, it's a Rodney Dangerfield moment, It's just just something that, a class that's gonna go down the hand, write this one down. This is a good one,
One for the best of 89.
Waitress, come here. Outside, Sheik is up to Sheik's ass. High. Cold all over. You bring Sheik warm beer. Warm like this. And then what they have to keep, Canada, they got to keep the beer and stuff inside. You can't, and you got to watch out because it's, before you know it, the temperature drops. Ping, ping, ping. All the bottles are breaking.
Would you have, if a decent offer had been made to, would you have stayed with the AWA a bit longer? Because they did survive for over, 18 months or something after this, despite the fact that they had no crowds.
Oh no. No, They would have to come with a contract, a guaranteed contract, and yeah, and they weren't doing that. He was showing everybody that he didn't have to do that. He could get talent, and he could run a successful business without spending money, which he proved was very wrong. Proved to be an error, a mistake by them.
So terribly depressing then that week in the AWA, just looking around thinking, man, these places used to be full.
Well, but Milwaukee was a full town that we ran. Well, the rest of them were kind of spot shows, if I remember. I think that's probably the only time I got to work with Larry.
When you say work with him, do you mean just stand in the ring while he walked around outside for about 8 minutes?
Yeah.
I'll ask a few more, then we'll shut the podcast down. Don Chimino asks, now that you're enjoying your retirement from both wrestling and as a longshoreman, what hobbies or interests do you enjoy? Sitting and dribbling.
Dribble before I shoot. What hobbies? I swim, legs are, I don't, I got some fins. I swim without fins. I don't dive. I don't like cleaning fish. I don't spear. I don't hunt fish. I don't catch fish. I like eating fish. I don't like cleaning them.
Mm-hmm.
But
you don't like descaling.
I fish.
Descaling. You're not a fan of descaling.
Or the guts, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the bigger fish too, cleaning the guts, taking the stuff, and the bones. I don't like bones. I don't like fishy, bony fish. So if it's not a pleasant tuna saltwater fillet, I'm not too crazy about it. Golfing, I can't. My shoulders are gone, knees are gone. No running, barely walking. I swim. They like my grandkids. That's I got jiu-jitsu today. Picked up another one in school there. My other one's the one in town surfs all the time. He's got a jiu-jitsu meet coming up real soon. And the other one's got this the one I took the jiu-jitsu today. He's got a meet coming up soon. The other one does those oh God. It'll come to me later, but the things in school, like robots or toys. Robotics, that's it, yeah. And so
You're busy enough. What are you driving these days?
Pick 'em up truck. Ran the 16. Well, I bought it new. Bought it new when I retired, and so it's about 5 years old.
You retired 5 years ago.
Huh?
You retired 5 years ago. I thought you retired years beforehand.
No, 66. No, 66.
Right.
Now. So yeah, no, what was I going to say? I got my truck.
Yeah. You said you bought your pickup truck new, and then I interrupted you.
Well, I go around. I don't found a great Italian restaurant this weekend, and I don't have to go all the way into Waikiki, which is a great restaurant. Don't get me wrong, Hawaii's got great restaurants, and a lot of them went to shit after COVID, too. So now you got to, some of the ones that used to be legendary have fallen, lost their title, but Hawaii's got a lot. If you go into Waikiki, you can find, pretty much the top, like going to Paris or Tokyo or any New York or anywhere you go for fine dining. But if you stay around, like out here where I live, you got steak joints or Mexican, and not a lot of them, just fast stuff. It's I lived in what they call the country. There's a country in Hawaii.
I for Valentine's Day, I took the enemy out for a treat to a nice restaurant, and well, say nice restaurant. I mean, the food was okay, but it's in the centre of Manchester. It's very expensive for what it is, but it's just a place where kids go to try and impress their friends by taking a load of photos of the food and putting it on Instagram or whatever. So anyway, I had this is just for starters: calamari, cheese souffle. And I washed it down with a rum and mango cocktail. And wouldn't you believe it, I had really terrible indigestion for a day and a half afterwards. I ruined Valentine's Day because I was so sick. I just had the worst combination of food ever. I don't know why I bothered.
What was after the cheese, before the cheese souffle?
Right, so she got a cheese souffle, but I ate most of hers. I had calamari, squid, fried squid.
Oh, calamari.
And then
cheese,
and fish, basically, yeah. And then mango, citrus with rum and vodka. And then for mains, for some reason, I picked a cheeseburger and chips. So I soaked them in vinegar as well. So vinegar, squid, cheese souffle, bread, mango. I'm surprised I wasn't more sick. But we did have to go home early.
That's not too, aside from the squid being, the calamari being fried, it's not too daunting.
Man, you could taste the MSG in it so bad.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, you could just taste it. It just turns me guts, that does. I'll ask a couple more and then shut the podcast. No, actually, we've got a tiny bit of time. Frank and Eve Quadrino ask my question: when Muraco dropped the IC title to Santana in February '84, it was in the Boston Garden at a house show, which at the time was not a televised venue. At that time, titles usually changed hands in the Philadelphia Spectrum the Saturday before the TV tapings, in Madison Square Garden the day before the TV tapings, or at the TV tapings itself. When we saw Kevin Dunn with a handheld camera at ringside, we had a suspicion that either the title was going to change or a, in quotes here, serious kayfabe injury was going to happen. When a title changed hands at a house show, it was an indication that a wrestler was getting fired, but you remained. Why the title change at house show is the question.
You got me. As Vince and Pat and the boy in the office felt it was the time. And I was moving towards Fuji, and I guess, where was I going? Fuji, Steamboat, or whatever. Yeah, when I had the belt, I didn't have Steamboat. When I had Steamboat, I didn't have a belt.
Steamboat was the next year, so I mean, we've got like a year.
Yeah, so I was going that direction. Probably headed toward Fuji. They were, I was getting ready to hook up with Fuji and going, Well, maybe that was his idea to manage me, like it was my idea to create Demolition.
And Brother Love, of course, now.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin Dunn, did you ever strike up a conversation with Kevin Dunn? And...
Well, nothing. Hello, goodbye, how you doing? Whatever.
Jim Cornette does
the little guy, right?
Yeah. Jim Cornette does the greatest impression of Kevin Dunn, which is and basically does that and launches into a Bugs Bunny impression. Not a fan apparently, but you never spoke to him or spoke to him much.
No, just hello, goodbye. He was he had the TV, but he was, it was still kayfabe, so he wasn't. He didn't let on that he was smart, and they didn't want us, they didn't want us to let on to him that we knew he was smart. And you know how it is. The powers that be are trying to be in control. You're in the middle there, and well, like you look at you and you know what's going on, and then look at him, but of course, but to you, I say, it's black, black, black. And the other white. So I don't get the stories together, but then you don't make a point of squash crossing the lines because
just how it was done.
And back and forth, people know what's happening. Realize
such a weird, strange business. Even people who worked in the business, unless you're a wrestler or the owner, you didn't fraternize in certain ways with other members of staff who work for the company also.
Some bitter enemies, public or whatever.
Yeah. Next one, Rick Jones. What wrestler was the furthest from their on-screen persona to the point that even other wrestlers were surprised? And on the flip side, who was surprisingly indifferent, exactly the same as what you saw on camera?
Different. Hillbilly Jim, maybe. He was, hillbilly. He was, intelligent, well-spoken, citified fella. He was a basketball player from one of the Tennessee universities, but bulky guy. Nicest guy in the world. I tell you, he had that bad luck where he caught Brutus coming off the top rope or off the apron at San Diego and threw his leg out. Said his kneecap was up and floating up high in his thigh. And he had to spend like 3 or 4 weeks all alone in San Diego in the hospital there. And that killed him. He was, by the time he rehabbed and came back, he would have been Hulk's fair-haired boy. You figure Hulk would have run down to save him a dozen times, and he probably would have been able to do the same favor for Hulk too, because he could have been. Yeah, I'm sure. I don't know what was in Vince's mind, but yeah, Hillbilly was good, 6'6", good looking, with the hair and stuff, but broad enough and big enough to to be impressive. He was an impressive figure. So it's no telling where he would have been.
Do you think he was good enough to have obviously Hulk Hogan can never pick his friends, everyone from Tugboat to whoever it is, he's got Paul Orndorff, he's always got a friend, they always turn on him. Do you think Hillbilly Jim would have been good enough to do a sustained run against Hogan on top?
Jeez. Well, it depends how they did it, right? If it was done right, it could have. But whether you do something like that, you risk the chance of killing off one or the other. And you got two golden geese, and you're looking for the egg there. You're cutting one open, and both of them are laying eggs. I don't know what the process. It could be something like that could eventually work into a split, but you can see, Hillbilly going with his one card and Hulk going to different towns with his card, and then with big shows or something, they meet and form something, or have separate angles going. I don't know, it depends what's in the mind of the promoter of Vince. If you want to split them up later, you get a feel. Those things take a feel. You feel the building, you feel the crowd. It's like being a heel or, working the match. You feel what they're buying and what they're not buying. What they're into, what character they like and stuff like that. So if you can feel that coming, you're not hesitate as much to go for it. But just.
Did the knee injury, when he eventually came back from the knee injury, did it completely change him in the ring, or was he able to go at a similar pace?
I don't remember him working around too much after. It took a long time, and I don't. Well, he didn't do a lot in the ring. In the beginning, and he was capable. I saw some tapes of him in Tennessee where he did do a lot, where he did work. He did work hard.
Yeah, as Harley Davidson, wasn't it? Was he Harley Davidson? That was his character.
I don't know. I don't know what the name was, but I saw him in a match, and he was working. He worked the regular style, down and grind and gritty. So he could work. So it's that time. Look, you had the cartoons, you had the merchandising, you had all that stuff going. So you your farmer there. Uncle Elmer came in and he got hot as fire. So, you weren't looking for a great work. Ray Stevens was not needed. That's Dory Funk Jr. was not needed in that position. There weren't, so he was, and see, so talking about switching him to heel or something, or, switching on Hulk would be tremendously premature because you've got all the cartoons, all the characters, all the merchandising of Hillbilly Jim. So I'd say you could run an easy 2 to 3 years in another direction, just doing Hillbilly Jim hankies, hats, and dolls with beards. And I'd just say, there's anything to go, but I wouldn't see a rapid rush to change him, to switch him to heel, because the merchandising was so strong. Because you don't understand the TV, the groups of merchandise, the 3-4 with their secretary, and they'd come down to watch the matches. They'd come even the back down to Hamburgs and Allentowns and stuff. And then they were all working their way in at that time, early stages.
That yawn tells me that we're coming to the end of the podcast. We're not quite at an hour. I'll ask one or two more and then we'll get through it. What time is it there now, is it? Is it 11? 11:17?
Yes.
Oh God! Right, so it's 9:17 here. There's the time difference. I can't wait till daylight savings catches up here. Yeah. Okay, Bill Shogun. Bill Shogun. Who does Don think would win in a shoot fight between Dan Spivey and Billy Jack Haynes?
Dan Spivey. Oh. The Adrian Adonis, Dan Spivey, and the only one that happened when I was around was the Billy Jack and Mike. Who's Mike?
Sharp.
Yeah, Mike Sharp. It must be that. And the Mike Sharp, where they both took place when I wasn't around, so I couldn't. I know Dan Spivey was a tough guy. And obviously, Billy Jack was a tough guy. But to who would win, I have no idea. The thing about fights, and especially with wrestlers, is sometimes guys don't know they're fighting. Like Manny Fernandez with Nikolai. And he and Steve Clear were ducking under. Bang! Slapping him hard, open hand in the back of the neck, as hard as they could. Duck under him again. Whack. And Nick stop, you hurt me. It's Nikolai. Is that the stuff? Oh, okay. And it's funny, so he jumps around and he gets into the boxing stance and he starts jumping around like that. So, he fires off 2 lefts and a right, and Manny's standing there like a wrestler, So Manny didn't know. So he knew he was being a wise ass. He didn't realize Nikolai was about to become a super wise ass. So he turned around. He's standing there. Yeah, come on, you big. He wasn't. Nikolai's got legs. They had legs like tree trunks, and he'd been trained in boxing. He started actually Volkov. What was his real name? Do you know his real name, offhand?
Nikolai Volkov. No, I don't.
No.
I can find it out.
Joe. That's right. But anyway, Joe'd come over from the old country and trained down around Buffalo, and not a few of them, but Tony Atlas trained boxing one time. He told a hell of a story. He said he was in there, and he was boxing. He wasn't quite the bodybuilder he became. But he was, he was into boxing, and he had a boxing trainer, and they gave him a couple of, I don't know how many, 4, 5, 6 tomato cans to start his career off. Every one, Tony's big and strong. He'd knock him down or knock him out. So finally he got this guy. They put him in against a legit guy, and boom, boom, boom. He smokes Tony. He just smokes him and drops him. And back to the locker room. Tony goes, "This." Of course, he probably cheesed it. But Tony tells his promoter, "That's never going to happen to me again. I'm never doing that again." The boxer and the coach. That's right, Nikolai. You kept to the left, and when you fade with the left, you do and you step to the side, and you keep your legs. No. I'm never going to that ring again. That's what I mean. I ain't boxing nobody. I ain't using my jab better. I am not going in that boxing again. Tony is funny that way.
With I've got it. Josip Peruzovic.
Yeah, there you go.
Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Oh God, I was struggling. I mean, you think I'm bad pronouncing half these names when I'm answering the questions out, but blinking it.
That's the best I would have come out with.
So with Manny and Nikolai, ultimately, what happened? So they start fighting, and who gets the best of it? I can't remember if you said it because I was looking at the name.
He knocked him. Boom! He took a shot, caught him in the jaw, and Nikolai goes over and bounces like in the movies on the second rope, and he's laid out on the second rope. Now I'm the champion, and it's 6-man tag, so I'm the champion. So obviously the champion's going to lose. So I got to find a way to pick this knocked out son of a bitch up and pin me. Main event Orlando. So I get somebody over here I said have knocked down and fall down and stay there. And then up I go with the body slap, a couple steps back. I trip over either Nikolai or Leroy Brown, whoever I was with. Tripped over him, still out. Count 1, 2, 3. That was it.
Was Manny Fernandez always starting fights? Because he strikes me as a particularly salty character.
Yeah, it may be hard. He was in the Marines or Army or something. He was a rugged guy. He didn't bullshit. But good man. Good guy. Man's man, He's probably a tough guy. I don't know. The guys that are always starting fights, they're usually hanging, with a crew, but you don't start. When you get into guys want to test you. If it's your personality. I think a personality, people are opposed to, rather than, this guy, he looks like he's he's a tough guy or something, Because I don't know. Manny was abrasive. I always liked him. I go, yeah, well, okay. I picked I liked all the guys. Andre the Giant, my proudest moment in business. When he jumped up out of his seat, grabbed me and hugged me in the Blaisdell Arena here in Hawaii. Went to see the boys. And everybody's he was happy to, Giant was happy to see me. So, I didn't have, I'm sure a lot of people hated my guts, but for the most part, I was friendly. And if I wasn't friendly with the guy, I didn't hang around with him, or wouldn't. I wasn't a bully. I wouldn't follow him around. Hey, you lousy clothes on. Hey, you stupid looking shoes. Or I wouldn't cut their clothes, and stick pills in their drink. That was a little. I had my way. I would make. I was a calm. I always did my ribbing just with my mouth. I was, kind of quick and would make sarcastic remarks in regard to one thing or another, the situation, whatever happened to be present.
I've never met anyone while doing these interviews, because I'll bring your name up occasionally and say, do you know Don? I do a podcast with them. And no one's ever said, oh, God, that Don Muraco. Everyone's like, no way, it's Don Muraco. Oh, please say hello. Oh, do you know someone else who said that as well? Shane Douglas, I interviewed recently, who, if you remember, he was in ECW in the early days.
Here's another guy I just met in passing. Wasn't fortunate enough to get to know well.
Yeah, really clever guy. And he
I've heard, I've understood, but like I said, never had the opportunity to interact with these guys.
Well, he says hello, but he was very keen
Hello.
to say he was very keen to say, oh, please, when you next see Don, please tell him hello, because he was a big fan of yours as well, and he talked about like first meeting you, and he was a huge fan, and was really appreciative and stuff. But for now,
Well, old style, the guys like Morales, myself, probably Bruno, and we'd come in the arena, come in the locker room, and we'd shake hands with all the boys. Preliminary, main event, didn't matter. We'd greet everybody, the referees, ring guys. Who came from Phillips? Some of those guys. Nah. Just everybody would greet. It was pretty. It was the. I guess it's kind of like a paradox for wrestlers to be, to go in there and be gentlemanly to every, go up and down the card, say hello. I carried it over when I was longshore. I got the longshore and I'd go in the break room and, she'd get good morning, how you doing? Have a safe workout, safe trip, I don't know if that makes you a leader or not, but you're a little more concerned, if you're really not concerned or not, but it just shows some people concerned, that you take interest in their life or something, that you're involved. Not only there to flip him upside down and drive his head through the mat.
Well, it forces you to become a people person, doesn't it? More wrestling, because you have to be. If you're not, then you're not going to get very far.
Well, I told you about Piper, and I learned from Piper about the payoff, the payday, splitting the payday or giving the payday to the guy I was working with. And I heard because he did that. I think it was like $75 we'd pick up from those Tuesday and Wednesday nights. I mean, there was nothing for us, not to, blow myself up to be a big time money guy, but that was nothing in the week, that we were making, especially if you're a top guy, to spread around some guys that had driven hundreds of miles to come and, wrestle you for 3 minutes, not even wrestle, be humiliated by me for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And then they, so hope it bought him an extra 6-pack or bought a meal for him and his old lady or whatever. But
some bandages for the injuries, whatever.
Yeah, it pays to be humble, especially a sport like that. It's not something can turn, something can happen. They can turn on you and you can hurt yourself real easy. And people won't even know what's going on, just resistance or not following through.
Did anybody ever give you the handshake? The wrestler's handshake, the really limp one.
Oh yeah, that's the way everybody used to. That came from my pre my time, and it made the majority of the time that I was before I got into even in WWE that I got in, it was still that loose handshake.
Yeah. What's the significance? What's the significance?
I don't know. I don't know. Came from way back. It was a tradition, so it was right. Okay, I do it.
So from across two oceans, I will give you a virtual handshake. I will thank you for your time. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. We'll catch you again next week. And yes, thank you, Don, once again for your name, Don. I know your name's Don. I've called you Dan. Someone wrote down in the questions. Somewhere. Yeah, I'll write it down somewhere for the next one. All right, thank you, Don, and for entertaining us once again.
Oh, stay healthy, man.
No promises. No promises.
You've been sick about the last 2 months, haven't you?
No, I'm just tired. No, and also I think it's that squid dinner that didn't do me any favors recently. Oh God.
What kind of squid eats squid?
Hey, squid.
How do you prepare the squid?
It was deep fried and ringed.
Oh, calamari.
Yeah. But I'm sure it's the MSG that's just sent me west. Anyway, I'm closing this podcast. Thank you for watching.